And welcome back to Atreyu News. It is now Tuesday morning, May the 16th of 2017. I woke up this morning to a pleasant surprise. My subscribers had jumped over 150 subscribers in less than 24 hours, which might not seem like a lot, but it's a personal record for me, so I was pleased. Anyways, radio host completely destroys feminist argument. Radio host Dana Loesch completely destroys the anti-men argument from feminists. Loesch says that feminism isn't so much about the empowerment of women as it is about the subjugation of men. Here's why.
The matriarchy seeks to replace the perceived patriarchy with itself. Modern feminism is an absolute joke. They've turned around and they've eaten themselves. It's not about the choices that you as a woman are allowed to make. You're only allowed to make choices so long as those choices go along with whatever the matriarchy chooses for you. Feminism isn't so much about the empowerment of women as it is about the subjugation of men, and that's what it has been about for so long. Now, when I was in college, I defined myself as a feminist, rather. But then I got educated, and I grew up, and I had sons, and so this Mother's Day, I was giving thanks to God that I was no longer describing myself as a feminist, but rather as an empowered, educated woman, because I'm raising young men. And in a society where we need to raise healthy, smart, empowered young men, I can't very well go around and call myself a feminist and call for the subjugation of men and how men are evil and men are the root of all evil and they're the cause of all our wrongs.
And it's very true, isn't it? What she was saying about the subjugation of men. As we see the anti-men wave of feminism coming up, the women that are quote-unquote feminists are probably the least feminine women I have ever seen in my entire life. In fact, they're more masculine than anything. Breaking: Trump just greeted someone big at the White House, and look who it is. President Trump greets Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi at the White House.
شباب من ورا تعالوا هنا نروح نشوف ايش قدامنا
The truth about capitalism and poverty exposed in its viral guise. I do find it a bit shocking that young people in particular would get behind a communist or socialist ideology when capitalism has produced the most sophisticated, the most prosperous civilization the world has ever seen, yet these people turn their backs on them. Which is kind of why the educational system is not only flawed, but it indoctrines our young to be fools. Let's take a look.
And you want to tell me that $2 a day is not a dramatic improvement in their life? It is. And there's no way for them to get to the point to be as rich as you are unless they go through that phase. And if you deny them the ability to make $2 a day by insisting that companies pay $4 and therefore they withdraw completely from the market, because you know what? I'm not paying $600 for this. I'll pay $300. And if I stop buying this, who suffers? That Chinese kid who's right now making whatever, $3 a day or whatever. Right? His alternative is to go back to the farm. And you know what they did in the farms? 40 years ago, when the Chinese were all producing agriculture, they were dying of starvation. 40 to 60 million Chinese died of starvation under Mao. Suddenly, you've given them opportunity to actually attain middle classhood, to learn a skill, to have a profession, to make money, to make themselves into something. And by the way, the Chinese never complain about how much they're being paid. You guys complain. We complain in the West because, yes, To our middle-class, comfy lives, that seems ridiculous. But that's because you've never lived in real poverty. Nobody in England has lived in real poverty the way the Chinese and the Africans and the Indonesians live. Korea is an interesting case study, right? You've got North Korea and South Korea. 50, 60, 70 years ago, South Korea was as poor as North Korea. They were both dirt poor. And then South Korea instituted some economic freedom. And it made it possible for people to go and work for $1 a day, for $2 a day. And they developed skills, and they increased their productivity. And they started building more stuff. And capital came in and increased their productivity even more. And suddenly, and you go to Seoul today, and they're as rich as you are. But they, in 70 years they did, or 60 years, they did what you've done in hundreds of years. How did they do it? Because of the ability to slowly ratchet up. Now, if you demand that they skip and get to your standard of living like that, then they will stay poor forever. And that's what you're condemning them to. You're condemning them to eternal poverty. A kid